Hi everyone, welcome to Think Smart Home. Today we are going to talk about how can we install or migrate our home system installation from Synology to Proxmox. Now, why I want to move my home assistant from Synology to Proxmox? So there are a couple of reasons. First thing is definitely the resources, because we all know our Synology does not have a very strong hardware. So if you grow with your home assistant installation, you might run out of the hardware. So that's one thing. The other thing are the offsite or remote backups. So currently I'm running my home assistant as a VM in my Synology DSM Virtual Machine Manager. Now if I look at the protection and if I try to create a snapshot, I am allowed to create local snapshots. But to create a remote or offsite snapshot, I need to have VM Pro license, Virtual Machine Manager Pro licenses. So I don't want to buy a license, so that's why I thought to go the alternative path, which is Proxmox Backup. So now if I install my home assistant into Proxmox, there will be a couple of more advantages. The one is definitely the backup. For example, I have created a VM for my home assistant. Now, if I want to backup, I have lots of additional options in my Proxmox to back it up, especially when it goes to retention. So this will add more value, or this will be more powerful when I add Proxmox Backup Server into it, because Proxmox Backup Server follows the deduplication. That's the main thing when we are backing it up. So the backups will be more quicker and more space efficient, because the way Proxmox Backup Server works, it backs up the data in chunks. So every time we run a backup, it will look at the chunks. So it will only back up the chunks which has been modified. So the backup process will run more quicker and it will be more space or storage efficient. So these are the reasons which are kind of compelling me to move my home assistant from Synology to Proxmox. Alright, so let's start. Now, even if you want to migrate our home assistant from Synology to Proxmox, definitely we'll have to install home assistant first on our Proxmox, and then we can restore the backup. For the backups, if we go to your existing running home assistant installation, and if you go to settings and systems, and then from there you can look at the backups. And here I have created a detailed video how to set up backups on home assistant. I'll leave the link to that video down in the description below if you want to watch it. But for the meantime, I'm not going to explain how the backup will be set up on home assistant and how you can download it. So I have already downloaded the backup for this home system installation in my download directory. So I'll use that one when we finish the installation of our home system onto Proxmox. Alright, so we'll go back to our Proxmox. Alright, so before we do anything on the Proxmox, definitely we need to download the home assistant from their website. So I'll go to the documentation and then the installation. And then if you click on other systems, you'll see a link, download link for the Proxmox. So I'll simply copy the link address. And now I'll go back to my home system installation and I'll go to shell and I'll type the command wget and paste the link we just copied and then hit enter. So it will start downloading the home assistant. It might take a couple of minutes depending upon your download speed. Alright, so now the download is finished. Now what we need to do is we need to create a new VM. So I'll create a new VM. So I'll select my node. I'll give the VM an ID just to make sure that this ID is not used anywhere, definitely, otherwise we'll get an error. So I'll leave it 102, and then for the name I'll give it home assistant. You can give it whatever name you want and then click next. For the OS, I'll select do not use any media and then click next. For BIOS, I'll change it to OVMF. So, and then since we don't have any pre-enrolled key, so I'll uncheck this one and I'll select the storage. I'll select my local GFS storage. So it will depend whatever local storage you have, you'll have to select it. So, and then click next. For the disk, we are not going to use it. I will import a VM as a disk. So I'll delete this one and click next. For the CPU, Home Assistant recommends to have 2 CPU and then 2 GBs of RAM. So I'll go back and then give it 2 cores. Then next, RAM is defaulted to 2 GB, so that's fine. I'll click next. All the network setting, I'll leave everything as default. And then next. And then here I'll click finish. Alright, so we're back on the shell where we downloaded our home assistant. So I'll just first make sure the command line is clear. Now what we need to do was hit ls. So now it has listed the file which we downloaded from Home Assistant server. So we need to kind of unzip it. So I'll use unxz and then I'll just simply copy the file name and paste. It might take a few seconds and it will come up with a new file which we will be using to import into our VM. Alright, so it has brought me back onto my shell. So if I hit ls again, I can see a new file. So we will be using this file to import into our VM. So I will type a command qm import disk and then we'll enter the VM ID. In our case it is 102. So 102 and then I'll just simply copy the file and paste. And then lastly, I need to enter the local storage. So in my case, it's local -gfs. So alright, so import is finished. So last step before we boot up our Home Assistant VM is we'll go to the VM, the hardware, and then we see the unused disk. So this is the disk which we imported. So we'll click on edit. So we'll add it as SCSI. So there's everything here. I'll leave everything as default. I'll click add and then we can see we have a new SCSI 0 disk added to our VM. Then one more thing which we need to fix or which we need to update is the boot order. So if I click on boot order and then edit, I need to make sure a SCSI 0 is checked and I can make it as a first device to be used for the boot. So I'll click OK and now we can start the VM. Alright, so it might take a couple of seconds to start the VM. While this is happening, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. Also, hit the bell icon to get notified every time I release a new video about smart home automation, storage and network security. Alright, so Home Assistant installation is complete. Now we need to take a note of the IP address and the port number which we can use to access our Home Assistant instance. So if I go to 192.168.10.135 and then port number is 8123. As you can see, the Home Assistant is up and running. So now the system is preparing Home Assistant. This might take a while. So we'll leave it here. We'll come back and we will import the existing Home Assistant backup which I downloaded earlier, and you might have to do the same. You might have to take a backup of your existing Home Assistant installation and then import the backup here. So we will wait until this setup is finished. Alright, so setup is complete. Now what we need to do is we need to restore the Home Assistant from the backup. So I'll click on restore from backup and click on upload backup, and then I'll go to my download where I downloaded the backup. So I'll select this one and it will start the restore process. So I'll just select full backup and then click on restore and then click on restore again. It might take a while to import the whole backup process depending upon your backup size or your home assistant database size. So be patient and leave it on. We'll come back to this once this one is complete. Alright, so we are back. So we need to log in using the same username and password which we were using in a previous home assistant installation. So that's it. We are in. So that's the whole system has been imported and this home system is now running on Proxmox. So now one thing I need to set up here is my USB coordinator for my Zigbee to MQTT. It will not be working because we haven't set up the USB pass-through in our Proxmox yet. So to do that, we need to go back to our Proxmox and on hardware, click on add and then add USB device. Here you can select any USB device which you might have added. So in this case, since I'll select the USB device type and then select the Sonoff Zigbee USB dongle which I'm using as a coordinator. Select add and then that means now the USB pass-through has been set up. So I can go back to my home system installation. I can start it and I'll go to setting and then click on add-ons. So here I can see my Zigbee to MQTT and Mosquito Broker, they both are up and running now. So if you are having issues, just make sure that your port number is set correctly. You can look at the port number from the system and hardware and all hardware and then search for, let's say, Sonoff. So I can see that this is the device path. You need to make sure that you have updated this device path in my settings as well. If I go back to add-ons and configurations, you can see this is the same device path which I was using. So I have covered this whole Zigbee to MQTT installation for the home system in another video. I'll leave the link to the video down in the description below if you want to watch it later. Also, if you want to access your home system instance locally without the port number and the IP address, I have created a video where we have used Pi-hole and Nginx Proxy Manager to use a valid SSL certificate and access the locally hosted services without any port and the IP address. I'll leave the link to the video down in the description below if you want to watch it later. Alright, that's it for this video. I hope you liked it. Please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. I'll see you in the next video.